ready, Steve? Uh-huh. Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Well, let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 26th day of August, 2021. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you can't see the screen I have up, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. It also gives you access to the chat box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. On the days you're out of your office, away from your desktop, just point any internet connected browser to cfrn.net/live. There you'll find a live real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. You just won't have access to the chat box. We also stream live each day on our YouTube channel. It's easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we stream live each day, but we archive every daily show. Currently, there are over 1,800 daily live broadcasts archived there for your educational and viewing pleasure. And it is with that we open the show today with heavy hearts for everything happening in Afghanistan. This condition has worsened quicker than perhaps many had thought. And everywhere you turn, whether it be Facebook or Twitter, if you belong to any Christian communities online, I mean, we repeatedly hear the prayer, pray for Afghanistan, pray for the people. What exactly should we pray for? Here's some points for prayer, as I know each of you will spend your own private, personal time in prayer. We should give thanks and prayer that our partners will still be able to operate, and that there's an indication that projects helping communities meet immediate and urgent needs will be allowed to continue. Of course, we want to pray for peace and protection for the Afghan people facing great uncertainty. We all, I'm sure everyone within the sound of my voice knows what has happened today so far. 2 explosions. Last time I looked, I don't know if there's been more. Pray for the serious human rights abuses that are taking place. Pray in particular for women, girls, and ethnic and religious minorities in Afghanistan, that hard-won advancements in rights will not be reversed. Pray for a coordinated and effective international response to this crisis. Pray for support to reach all those in need of emergency assistance in Afghanistan. Because of the compounded effects that we now have of this conflict, along with the COVID-19 and all the other problems that exist in Afghanistan. Pray in particular for the thousands of Afghan internally displaced people who are facing famine and who Christian Aid have been assisting through the hunger appeal launched back in July. Pray that the devastating cuts to the aid budget will be reviewed and that increased funding is made available immediately and effectively to Afghanistan. Pray for safe and open borders for all those who wish to and are able to leave Afghanistan. Pray that they would be met with sanctuary and hospitality. Pray for all who remain in Afghanistan at this point, for courage and protection. Pray with all those who hope that the situation gets better and we can go back to a normal life with dignity, respect, and peace. Pray for the halting of attacks on civil society, for effective political negotiations. Pray for peace. Heavenly Father, we hold before you today the people of Afghanistan and every foreigner who stands on Afghani soil today to help and defend the Afghanistan people. Be living bread to those who are hungry each day. Be healing and wholeness to those who have no access to health care amidst the ravages of pandemic. Be their true home to all who have been displaced. Be open arms of loving acceptance to those who fear because of their gender, ethnicity, religious, or political views. Be peace to those engaged in armed conflict and those who live within its shadow. Turn our hearts and minds to your ways of just and gentle peace. Open our eyes to see you in all acts of compassionate care. Strengthen our hearts to step out in solidarity with your suffering people, and hold us all in your unfailing love. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ, who emptied himself of all but love in order to bring life in all its fullness. And it is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. Dark day on the world stage. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. These are the cash markets, the indices. The Dow currently down 46 points. NASDAQ down 19. S&P 500 down 10. Russell 2000 down 11. And the commodity basket, crude oil down 68 cents, trading 67.68 last. Gold up $3.70, trading 17.94.70 last. Silver down 23 cents, trading 23.56 last. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a gain of 17 points. The Shanghai fell 38. The Hang Seng dropped 278, which is a drop of a little over 1% for both the Hang Seng and the Shanghai. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 25, DAX down 67, CAC down 10. It is a mixed day in Asia, a mixed day, or a red day in the UK, and so far it is a red Radio Thursday here in the US of A. So with that, we'll go to Michael and get a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. After that, I'll be back. We'll talk about the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and today's Thursday, so as far as I know, Dr. Tom will be joining us later on in today's program. Michael, I can see your charts, so feel free to take it away.
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 26th day of August, 2021. All right. If you've not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at cfrn.net. And on this page, scroll down to where it says free 5-day trial, no credit card required. Click on that. It'll be brought to eminitrainingschool.com. Here at eminitrainingschool.com, all you need to do is go right here and give us your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest training challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, If you don't click the link, we don't know that you took the free trial. So you got to click on that link. All right, let's get into the spreadsheet. Today, as I said, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, as I said, is the 26th day of August, 2021. Today we made 4 ticks in crude, 30 ticks in gold, and 14 ticks on the ES. That put us at plus 515 on the morning session. Today, it took 3 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 19 trades this morning. So on the month now, we're now at $7,027. That's over 19 trading days, averaging $369 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We've gotten our goal for the day on 163 out of 165 days now. And that puts us on the year at $99,220. That's over 165 trading days, averaging $601 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Now, okay, if you got your goal for the day and you stopped trading every day so far this year, I just go through this every day now that I've brought the 24/20 stuff to fruition here. I mean, I've been keeping track of this stuff for years, and I just didn't really even think about putting it all down and applying it to the 24/20 plan. But this is what really happened. If you stopped when you got your goal for the day and you added 1 contract per month based upon earning $2,000 per month per contract, then what you would have done here is you'd be up to 8 contracts now. And so like today, when we made $100 a contract, getting our goal for the day, that would be $800 added to the total. So you would now be at 8 contracts, and you'd be at $88,432, and you'd have worked 46 hours total in the market so far this year. And that averages out to $1,919 an hour on the year, 517 trades. And there you have it. Pretty good gig if you can get it. And you all can. All right. So let's get into what happened today. Now, gold is where we started out the day again. And our very first trade, we missed this one right here. Now, this was the highest probability trade. I didn't really miss it. I just didn't do it. Okay, because I wanted to see it break down below this level right here before we could get into it. And so we finally did break down below that level, pulled back up. It had enough momentum to give us another one right here. And that's what I was looking for. And so I jumped in right there, and I took 10 ticks profit on that. That's what got us the goal for the day. I had highlighted this number down here. It went down to that number, came off of it, and then turned around and started going up. We took a break even there, and then we took here we took another 6 ticks to put us at plus 16. Then we stopped out, put us back down to 8, and got in here, and you see the slingshot was a little bit messed up through here. But there and there. Looks like we're opportunities, but I don't know why I didn't take them, but I didn't for whatever reason. And 10, 15, I don't know what was going on, but I took a break even right there, and we had a little bit of profit right here. We went from where were we at? We were plus 8 after we stopped out there. Then we got to plus 9, and then there were a couple of moves in here, but the slingshot wasn't letting us get in them. And right here, again, the slingshot was looking pretty good, but it would have been a momentum short trade going into dynamic support, so I let it go. There was a trade right in here that I let go that would have been close to stopping out, but I think it ultimately worked out. The next trade we took was right in here. We picked up 5 ticks to put us at plus 14, then 3 more to put us at plus 17. Then we had a break even right there, and yeah, and I missed a couple of trades because we went from plus 17 to plus 29. So there was something, I think, right in here. I didn't put it down, but went from plus 17 right in here, I believe, up to plus 29, where we gained 12 ticks. And then we had one more trade where we gained 1 tick to put us at plus 30. I think that was probably right in here. I knew there was something. I said it this morning, and I knew there was some trades that I took that I didn't write down. But I think this right here ended up being plus 1 tick to get us to plus 30. And that was where we ended on the morning session. During the break, it didn't really give anything here during the break. Okay, and that was gold. Now, crude oil was, well, it gave a few trade setups, but not as many as we normally like to get. It was hitting the target numbers, but it wasn't giving the trade setups. Right here we had this one coming out of the gate. I wasn't really big on that one because we didn't have really a strong trend here. It went enough to get the stop to break even, and then it turned around, started going in the other direction slowly. Now this one right here was a bounce off the BBC. Again, not a really strong trend here, so I let that one go. Waited till it got up here. I took this one, we got a break even. Then I took this one, and we got +3. I took that one, we got +1, and now I had another break even through here, and that was it. It just wasn't giving up a lot of trades during the break. It looks like there was one trade right here, a momentum long trade, that just would have given you a break even. So crude just was not giving up a bunch of trades today, right? The ES gave more than the crude did today, but we ended with +4 on crude. Okay, so we'll get into the ES here. Now the ES started out like it had been for the last couple of days with all this garbage right here. Okay, and I had given this number down here, right? Given this number way back here at 940, and then we finally hit it over here at 1025. We finally hit that number. And then right after I hit that number, there was something. Bert said somebody was starting to whisper a little bit about interest rates, is what he said. And there's that Jackson Symposium that's going on right now, and so anything that comes out of that is going to be stuff that might move the market with no scheduled news event, and that's what happened here, I think. And there was a trade set up here right there to grab that, and then another one to grab that, and then another one to grab that, and then the slingshot got all confused and wasn't sure what it was doing, and it gave a long trade right here, and we picked up 4 on that long trade. Then turned around and started to go down. We picked up 2 on the short to get us to +6. Then we picked up another 6 right here to get us to +12. Then we stopped out pretty much to the tick, and then we had to wait a few minutes. But after we stopped out, we're at +4. Over here, we picked up another 6 to get us back to +10. Then 4 more right there to get us to +14. And then I believe we had 4 more right there. So we actually had +18 because we had 4 more right there. I got to put that down to get us to +18 on the ES. And then it went right up to the zone and pulled back down. And back here, I think I was talking about this, how this is kind of like the gold was, where we had just a little bit of a trend right here. And it was a bounce off the BBC. I'll show you the gold thing in just a minute here. It happened twice in gold today. But this was the highest probability trade because it hit the BBC, gave it down, closed. The MA1 stayed the right color. The cycle stayed the right color. We had bearish separation. But we only had a little bit of a trend right here. So I didn't want to do that. And it worked out to be, plus something if you did do it. But then it got in here during the break. It got all choppy. There was really nothing you could do during the break. Okay. So let me go back and show you those 2 gold things that I was just talking about. One was right here, where we had just a little bit of a trend. You see how we had lower lows there and lower highs here. But I wanted to see it break below this level, which it did, and we took the follow-up trade. That was the second one. You see how we had to bounce off the BBC. The MA1 was the right color. The cycle was the right color. Nice bearish separation. And the very first trade of the day was the same thing right here. We had just a little bit of a trend. And so I wanted to let that one go and let the trend establish itself. But that was the same thing. Highest probability trade, bounce off the BBC, MA1's the right color, cycle's the right color, bearish separation. Anyway, we ended with +30 on gold. Okay, and over here on the ES, I was just going through that. We actually ended with +18 on the ES. And so let me jump back over here into the spreadsheet. Now the 18 is not going to change these numbers at all because those are only based upon the first trade of the day, or not the first trade, but until we get the goal for the day. But this number is going to change a few of these other numbers. It's going to change the total number of trades. It's going to make that number just a little bit higher. And these numbers change around just a little bit too. Okay. But So if you're going to look at the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today's the 26th day of August, 2021. We made 4 ticks in crude, 30 ticks in gold, and 18 ticks on the ES. Puts us at 1,355 on the week, 565 on the day, and 7,077 on the month. Okay, so today it took 3 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we were up $100 a contract, and we had a total of 20 trades this morning. So on the month now, that puts us at 7,077, which is what I just said, and that's over 19 trading days, averaging $372 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We've now gotten our goal on 163 out of 165 trading days, and that puts us at $77,270 per contract. That's over 165 trading days, averaging $601 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Now, this again, if you added 1 contract per month and stopped trading when you got the goal for the day, you'd have traded a total of 46 hours so far this year, and you'd have averaged $1,919 per hour for those 46 hours. Okay, not bad. Now, if you've not taken a free trial with us and you want to, then go to the homepage here at CFRN.net. On the homepage at CFRN.net, scroll down to where it says free 5-day trial, no credit card required. Click on that, and it's going to bring you to this page, eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all that we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button, and we'll send you a confirmation link. You must click on that link, okay? If you don't click the link, we don't know you took the free trial. So click on that link. All right, there you go. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes, sir. I am ready.
Excellent.
Recap of the recap.
Today it took 3 minutes and 1 trade to get to $100 per contract.
Another great job.
Thank you.
And now for the segment that everyone loves so much, our funny t-shirt of the day. The many faces of a successful trader. There's the tense trader, the surprise trader, the bored trader, the anxious trader, the excited trader, the sad trader, the pleased trader, the confused trader, and the angry trader.
That's funny. That's
Thank
Bill
you very
Belichick
much.
of trading.
Thank you very much for that, Tim. Yeah, I'll post it in the Breeze channel right now, so I don't forget. And there it is. Also, I just posted in the Breeze channel this that you might find of interest. The fall of Kabul is triggering nightmares for the last U.S. Marine in Saigon. This gentleman right here, he was we all know the Marines are the first ones in, the last ones out. He was the last of the last ones out. So an interesting story. Just go to the Breeze channel and you can click on that. And I even asked this question on the show, I think the other day, who is the Taliban and how do they differ from all of these other factions, from Al-Qaeda, ISIS. Now, I heard it said today that Al-Qaeda hates the Taliban as much as they hate us. But I found this, the Taliban 2.0 explained. With the Taliban back in power in Afghanistan for the first time in 2 decades, this time the group is facing a different geopolitical landscape, and they claim to have modernized. Well,
okay,
yeah, they got all our weapons.
Yeah.
They got our Nighthawks, our Blackhawks, whatever they're called.
Yeah, the Blackhawks. Yeah, they got a whole bunch of things.
Something like 60 or 70,000 vehicles.
Yeah, I'll send you. I got this thing that JJ just sent to me in Facebook.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. It's got all kinds of pictures of all the stuff that they have. It's just insane.
Okay. And on this Twitter channel, if you just click the link in the Breeze channel, it'll take you to this Twitter, not for young eyes. This is some on the street footage shot, from people on their cell phones and other stuff. It's really
those
bad.
are probably our uniforms that were also left there.
Yeah, now if you're someone who has served in combat and maybe you have PTSD, if certain things trigger you, maybe this is not the best page to go to, because some of these videos could very well trigger an
You know,
instance.
the thing
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
thinking about this, Dwayne. The thing that's going to make this horrible is that now when our guys go back in there to straighten things out, they're going to have all our stuff and they're going to look just like us, and you won't know who you're going to be shooting at.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Stefan, who posts a lot in our Telegram discussion groups and the Breeze channel. And Stefan, if you're listening, we really appreciate your input and your charts and your take on the markets. He shared this today. In my opinion, any U.S. politician or person of power moving money before this news came out should be made public. Now, I guess he's referring to this. Yes, we could see an attack on Kabul airport within a matter of hours, says Armed Forces Minister James Heapy. He adds there are still 11 flights due to leave Afghanistan in the next 24 hours. And then Stefan commented, I guess someone knew this was coming today. And then this one, the comment was something about the junior varsity. Who was it that used that term? Was that Obama that used the junior varsity term?
Yeah, it was. They're JV.
Yeah, suicide bombers attack Kabul airport after ISIS threat. U.S. Marines injured and Afghans dead in blasted hotel where Westerners were holed up before evacuation flights. So a lot of our members are sharing different bits of news and video that they find in our Breeze channel. Now, our Breeze channel, that's where we go to shoot the breeze about things other than trading. Even if you're not a CFRN member or passport holder, you are invited to become a free member of the Breeze channel so that you can join in on the discussion. So just see Valerie for information on how to do that. You can always contact Valerie at 949-42-EMINI, or you can email her support@cfrn.net. And if you're ready to become a part of the family and get a passport so that you have a shot of being the 1 out of 10 versus the 9 out of 10, just go straight to eminifuturestrading.com. Couple clicks, you become a lifetime member. That is a lifetime all-access pass to everything we do, everything we've ever done, and anything we might do in the future. eminifuturestrading.com. Okay, nothing else in the news field really seems like news, considering what's going on in Afghanistan. But there are a couple of headlines I'll share with you. Elon Musk's company, the Boring Company, wants a tunnel that will help SpaceX staff get to work easier. Elon Musk's company wants to build a tunnel that would link South Padre Island to Boca Chica, where SpaceX's Texas launch base is located. He's always thinking. A leaked document shows how much money an Amazon recruiter is allowed to offer for some roles. We got rare insight into how much the corporation can offer job candidates. For higher level roles, compensation packages can reach as high as $715,400. Let's just take a look at this little list for a second. Oh, paywall. Some days that paywall thing works, and some days it doesn't. No, it's not going to let me through on that one. Okay. Well, have to find it somewhere else. California accused Activision of shredding documents related to its ongoing sexual harassment lawsuit. In a new filing Wednesday, the state expanded its complaint to include more charges against the maker of the popular video game Call of Duty including an allegation that its HR department destroyed documents related to the investigation. Warby Parker, those are the folks that make the eyeglasses that you get to, they send you 5 pair, or 5 frames, and you get to wear them for a week, show your friends, show your coworkers, make a decision which set looks the best on you, and then you just send the other 4 back. It's a startup that's done very well. And they issued a statement that smartphones are ruining our eyes. Well, of course, that's good for their business because they sell eyeglasses. It's WARBYPARKER, warbyparker.com. An all-female NFT project was exposed as being founded by 3 men. Now they're trying to give back to women. Advertised as the first female avatar project of all time, the project was revealed to have been actually founded by 3 Russian men. Some buyers felt cheated, and now the group is trying to make it right. Lucid said its first electric car easily beats Tesla's range. In a range test, the Lucid Air drove 445 miles from Los Angeles to San Francisco, beating the Tesla Model S's EPA range of 405 miles. Now, a difference of 40 miles might not seem like a lot, but if you're out in the desert somewhere or up on a mountain and the snow's coming, it means a lot. Waymo is now offering a Jaguar robo-taxi in San Francisco. Google's self-driving spinoff is letting users ride in an all-electric, self-driving Jaguar. And Amazon Web Services, AWS, insiders worry its executive brain drain leaves a leadership vacuum that few can fill. Lots of people are exiting AWS, a lot of insiders, and we want to know why. When I find out, I'll be sure to let you know. And Delta is going to charge their unvaccinated workers $200 monthly to cover medical bills. Johnson & Johnson says the COVID booster shot increases antibodies 9-fold. Boy, there's a cash cow. They'll just keep milking that thing and milking that thing. The new governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, said yesterday in her first day in office that the state had nearly 12,000 more COVID-19 deaths than former Governor Andrew Cuomo had publicly revealed. She told NPR, "The public deserves a clear, honest picture of what's happening." Cuomo's administration had provided the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention with data on the state's full death toll of nearly 55,400 people. But he had only reported the 43,400 deaths that occurred in hospitals and long-term care facilities to the public as of Monday, hours before he left office to avoid impeachment. Federal health officials and some academic institutions tracking coronavirus deaths have been using the higher figure for months. The Texas governor, Greg Abbott, has banned the COVID vaccine mandate. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and a bipartisan collection of other members of Congress on Wednesday leveled harsh criticism against Representatives Peter Mayer and Seth Moulton for making a secret trip to Afghanistan to observe the chaotic evacuation effort that followed the Taliban's takeover of the country. Pelosi said she found out about the trip on Tuesday but said nothing to avoid endangering the congressman's safety. "This is deadly serious," Pelosi said, adding that lawmakers were discouraged from going to Afghanistan to avoid straining the already limited resources. And last count, there's still 1,500 Americans in Afghanistan as the U.S. government rushes to evacuate everyone seeking to leave before the August 31st deadline. So just pray, guys. That's all we can do. Now, in news, I know Michael already touched on this. We had high impact news today. The GDP came in worse than expected. Initial jobless claims came in worse than expected. Not by a lot. The forecast number was 350,000 on initial jobless claims, and it came in at 353,000. And on the GDP, we were looking for 6.7%, and we got 6.6%. Now, I think the big news of the week comes tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, when Fed Chair Powell will speak. As Michael mentioned, we've had the Jackson Hole Symposium this week, and so I assume Powell will speak about what they discussed at the symposium, and everyone will be listening to hear what he has to say about interest rates. Are they going up? Probably. So, with all that said, let's go now to the recap of Logic 247. Michael just gave you a recap of everything that happened in the live training room. That's where you learn the rules of engagement. How to enter, how to manage, how to exit. The Logic 247 alerts point out the windows of opportunity, the fertile soil where you can employ or deploy everything that you learn every day in the live training room. Now, the Logic channel opens for business Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern and stays open around the clock till Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. The criteria for an alert to be posted is whenever opportunity presents itself. These are global markets, so the markets are trading around the clock, even while we sleep. But when opportunity presents itself, an alert goes out. Since Sunday night at 6 p.m., we identified 51 total alerts, 6 never triggered, still waiting on the outcome of 11. So we've had 34 actionable alerts. That's 34 times where our members were shown an entry, a target, perhaps another target, perhaps another target, a final target, and we teach every one of our members how to set their stop loss using market structure and a simple 3-step process that we teach all of our traders. On the alerts, we do not want to risk more than $300 per contract per trade, but we actually want to risk less when possible. And that's what the 3-step process is all about. Out of the 34 actionable alerts, an actionable alert is where you as a passport holder were given the entry, the target, perhaps multiple targets, and the final trade to target. So far this week, 4 of those, or 12%, would have been stopped out by not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible. Now, those alerts are based on current price action. Our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts, those are based on historic price action. The alerts are issued shortly after the Globex open each evening. The Globex markets open at 6 p.m. Eastern, so today at 5 p.m. Eastern, that ends the Thursday session, and at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight, the markets reopen for the Friday session. So even though it's still Thursday night in the U.S., the Friday session has begun, which reminds me, tonight is Thursday night, so if you've been on the trial and you want to be in the members only workshop tonight, behind closed doors, you've got to be a member to get into that workshop, then you should take this opportunity to go to eminifuturestrading.com so that Valerie can get all your stuff organized and stratified and collated and stapled and folded, and you get the idea, and you'll get your invitation to be in that meeting tonight. Now, each of the markets we cover has 2 numbers. When the market opens, or when this report is published, this is forward guidance for the entire session. Okay, if price starts trending up towards 45.05, that's bullish. Our strategy will look for opportunities to buy the market. You will use everything you've learned in the live training room to find opportunities, hand in hand with the logic alerts, to buy the market. If price starts trending down towards 44.87, that's bearish, and so our strategy will look for opportunities to sell the market, and again, you'll use everything you've learned in the live training room to find opportunities yourself to be short the market. The best way to do that is just draw a line in the sand, and I'll show you what that looks like as we go to the charts. We'll start out with our daily chart as we do every day. I recommend you start every trading session looking at the daily chart just to kind of get your bearings, because the larger the time frame, the more important the information it conveys. Also, the institutions, the hedge funds, the deep pocket traders, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I might look at range charts, 5-minute charts, and 30-minute charts. And the market follows the big money, and the market is always right. So we want to know what's most likely to happen next on the grandest scale. So we don't go all the way out here to the weekly and the monthly. You should do that probably once a week, but every time you sit down to trade, glance at your daily chart. From the daily chart, we can easily see that our resistance overhead is yesterday's new all-time historic intraday high. And looks like I need to bump it up just a tick or so. Yeah, like that. And like that. Okay, so the new all-time historic intraday high, 44.98. The new all-time historic closing high, 44.93 and a half. Yesterday we hit that 62% fib extension area. It was the good resistance that we expected it would be. Up here, we'll call it 4600, is the 100% Fibonacci price extension. And then these lines here, these are the Fibonacci retracements based on the last leg up. We put in a low of 43.4775 on this day, August 19th, and then we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green sessions in a row. Now the shallowest possible Fibonacci retracement is the 24% fib retracement, and that sits at 44.63/64 right here. So our resistance is, of course, the high of today followed by the high of yesterday, and then support below us, the step line, well, the low of today, the step line, blue and climbing. We've got basically 3 things coming together right here, and when price hits that 24% fib, we expect it to give us a nice bounce. If the bounce fails, now we'll still get a nice bounce, but if it ultimately fails, in other words, it doesn't take out this high, then we've got the 38, which is pretty close to the daily BBC. Whenever price drops to the daily BBC, we always expect that to be good support on all markets, on all time frames, especially on a daily chart. The larger the time frame, the more important that bounce can be. Once we get through the BBC, then we've got the 50, the 62, and then this was the beginning of the last leg up. Now the entire year has been very bullish. We have spent 90-95% of the time above the BBC. The green line is the bull-bear cross. When price is above it, we're bullish, we anticipate higher prices. When price is below it, we're bearish, anticipate lower prices. We've spent very little time this year below the daily BBC. Now, October 30th of last year, we put in a low, and then November 2nd, we began a climb. There was a weekend in there. the climb that began November 2nd up to the high put in yesterday, the 24% fib retracement of that entire move is 4,200, give or take. Now that's quite a drop. The world would be very alarmed, but in the grand scheme of things, we know that it takes these retracements to keep a bull market healthy. So we have a retracement to the BBC, but it holds. Then we have a retracement to the BBC, but it holds. The pullback holds more often than it doesn't, over and over, again and again. But the day will come when the pullback doesn't hold and we get a deeper retracement, which means we take out this low, and then when we hit this guy, we'll get a really nice bounce. Okay? As futures traders, we don't care if the market's moving up or moving down. As long as it's moving, there's opportunity. So with that, let's go to the 30-minute chart of the S&P. Last night's long CTA was 45.05. This vertical line separates the Wednesday session from the Thursday session. This was the opening candle last night, 6 p.m. Eastern. Price got below the BBC, and once price is below the BBC, we know it's trying to get to the weekly trading zone below. Price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. If the markets are open, price is trying to get to a weekly trading zone. If price is below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. If it's above the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone above. Does it always make it to its destination? No, it doesn't. Sometimes it runs into resistance. And this is a spot where you would absolutely anticipate potential resistance. Because this is the last spot where the market tried to go higher and failed. Price comes back to that area and fails, comes back to that area and fails again. Now yesterday, we drew this in. Support, support, support. I extended the line, and I'll extend the line again. Okay. We said if we need to trade through that support to get to lower prices. And then I drew in this potential window of opportunity, and we made it about halfway through. From 44.73 down to 44.66. So about a 7-point move. Now the actual CTA number was 44.87. So let's open this back up. Price comes down, triggers, and it drops to 44.85.5. So from 44.87 to 44.85, that would be 2 points. This was a 1.5 point move. But then price got back above the trigger and gave a 2-point move. And then it got back above the trigger and it dropped to 83.5, which is a 3.5 point move. Once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. Price behaves around a CTA often a lot like it does a weekly trading zone. Only 3 things happen at a weekly zone. The most likely thing is consolidation. That's about 70-75% of the time. The second most likely thing is rejection, 20-25% of the time. That's when the 30-minute candle, see, this was a red candle all the way down. But before the 30 minutes was up, buyers came in, drove price up. And so when the 30-minute window closed, all that was left touching the zone was the wick. So that sent us back above the trigger, but not all triggers are created equal. Over here, we had the support of red and falling. That's what you want on a short trade. On a long trade, you want blue and climbing. And so even though we triggered here, you've got support, blue and climbing, right below you, so that's a pass. Price gets back above the trigger, runs into resistance, comes back down. we get red and falling here. Okay, on this candle, we're in that transition from blue and climbing to red and falling. From 44.87 down to the target. Now see, this one hit the target, but it's not one we would have taken because of blue and climbing. On this one, we do have red and falling. This does take us to the target from 87 to 83, so that's 4 points at $50 a point. That's $200 per contract traded. And we put in a low all the way down at 44.65, it looks like. So about a 20-point drop, $1,000 per contract traded. Buyers came in at this point, drove us back up to the BBC. When price approaches the BBC from below, we expect it to be good resistance. When price rallies up to a weekly trading zone, we expect it to be good resistance until proven otherwise. So we have two good reasons why this area should be good resistance. And so the next high probability move would be back down to this support area, but we've traded through the support area, and so I would peg support right now at about 44.75. The zone is 44.82/44.83. Now you've got red and falling directly under price, so you could choose to pass on this one and simply wait for price to get below this low. And right there, 44.73 down to 44. Well, if you want to be really conservative, you could say, yeah, 44.73 down to 44.67. Okay. Nice trade. No obstacles in your path. I like the way that looks. We get below red and falling. We get below the step line, we get below this previous support area, and then it looks like pretty smooth sailing through this area, and price could of course continue down to the weekly trading zone. Now we spent a lot of time consolidating at that weekly zone. We're back at it again, but we're printing a red candle, and so as long as price is below the BBC, we're looking for opportunities to be short, to sell the market. Okay. All right, on the Dow, the short CTA was 35,315. Long side never triggered, of course. Okay, so we opened here, came down to the trigger, and the market ran out of steam. We put in a low at 35.03, so it's 12 points, $5 a point. On this trigger, you've got this blue and climbing issue, so not a good trigger. Over here, we went from zone all the way down to the zone. From 35, 245. Basically, that's a 200-point move at $5 a point, $1,000 per contract traded. The next high probability move from here is back to support at the weekly zone. And so the low of this candle is 266. So from 265 to 245, that's 20 points, $5 a point, $100 per contract traded. So for the week, I mean, this goes back to Monday. Monday we got into this area and we were sideways Tuesday, and we stayed within this range for Wednesday, and now here we are Thursday, where, as I say, we just went from the zone. Here we go from the zone up to the zone, and then from here we go from the zone down to the zone. The zones are one of the very important tools that you have in your trading toolbox as a CFRN member and passport holder. Okay? Our underlying strategy, the methodology we teach you, and the tools we provide you allow you to not predict the future, because that defies the laws of science, physics, and God. However, you do know with great certainty what the next high probability move is. And as I just said, the next high probability move is from 35 265 down to 35 245. Could it go further? Sure. Could it not go there? Yes. We know, based on over 8,000 alerts over the last 100 and I just forgot what week we're in. Scroll up here. Oh, I just had that right here. We're in week 160, over 160 weeks, and the last alert we published was alert number 8,184. Now, we know, based on all that data, all those alerts, all those trades, there's a 20% probability that what I just said won't happen. It's documented. The data's there. It's in the public domain. Okay? We're very transparent with everything we do. All of our results, everything. Okay? Our alerts go out way before they trigger. Michael puts on, takes off trades live in real time in the live training room, explaining what he's doing, answering your questions. I don't know how we could possibly be more transparent than we are. Now, we've worked very hard to make things very simple for you, the trader. I know that everyone has spent time, buying this indicator set and this training method, and man, how much stuff must a person buy? Well, you only need one that actually teaches you how to trade. Okay? And it's really overwhelming because you hear all these words, the trend, the tricks, the advanced decline line, the RSI. It just goes on and on. It's like, how can I ever remember all that stuff and know all that stuff and then actually put it together and use it efficiently? Well, the good news is you don't have to. We teach you enough. Now, you can learn as much as you want. All those things I just mentioned, you can learn what they are if you want to, but you don't need them. We teach you enough so that you can go into the market each day and reach your goal. Now, I can't guarantee you're going to reach your goal every day. That would be misleading, okay? But we're going to give you the information. We're going to give you the tools. You have to bring the patience and the self-discipline, but the two hand in hand. I mean, if it takes you 10 trades every day to get your 2 points out of the S&P, after commission, you're still profitable. We hope it won't take you 10 trades every day, but if it did, you'd still be profitable. That's a good thing, right? Now, 2 points in the S&P pays you $100. That's not a lot. But as you earn the right to trade live and then trade multiple contracts, by the time you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, 2 points is worth $1,000. So if you will bring the patience to follow the 2420 blueprint, you start out in sim, following Michael in the room in the morning, asking lots of questions. It's a learning process, an interactive learning process. Your goal in your sim account is to put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less. Once you do that, our blueprint will give you the green light to go live with one contract. You now want to stay with one contract until you increase your cash balance in your account by $2,000. The blueprint will give you the green light to add a second contract. The beauty of the second contract is you're adding it with profit you earned in the market. The blueprint will notify you when it's time to add number 3, number 4, number 5, but you only add one at a time, and you only add with profit you earned in the market. So by the time you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, one step at a time, 2 points is worth $100 per contract. So with 10 contracts, that's $1,000. $1,000, that's $250,000 a year. That's a pretty good income. Okay, maybe some of those savvy Silicon Valley folks are making a little more than that, but that dollar amount will pay most folks' bills. You don't have to stop at 10 contracts. You can continue to build your account size. The 2420 blueprint is called that because it's designed to help you go from 1 to 20 contracts over a period of 24 months. All right, so we've done the S&P, we've done the Dow. Here's the Russell. The Russell, the CTA was 2234. Dr. Tom should be joining us any moment here. Just waiting for him to pop in. Okay, so we triggered right here, 2234. The swing low was 22.8.1. We'll call it 22 point. We'll call it 22.29. It's 5 points at $50 a point. That's $250 per contract traded. Notice you have red and falling. You don't want to short into blue and climbing. You need blue and climbing to go back to red and falling like it did here, right? And so from 2234, the trigger, we made it all the way down to the target, the zone, which is 2211/2212. And so 34 minus 12 is 22 points at $50 a point. $1,100 per contract traded. The zone. See what an important tool the weekly zones are? I mean, if you didn't have the zones and you were short this market, you would probably have no idea that the market was going to find support at 2212. But all of our traders did, because they got their weekly trading zones Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published the zones since December 14th of 2009. And price still behaves around the zones the same today as it did way back then. So our window of opportunity we've got red and falling. I want to see price get below that swing low and that swing low, and then a short from 22.19 down to 22.12. That's 7 points, $50 a point, $350 per contract traded. The NQ. The NQ finally triggered. We've had like 2 or 3 days where the NQ didn't even trigger. It's been so flat and consolidated, trading sideways. This is obviously the market you want to stay away from when it's doing that. The long side never triggered. It was 15,409. Okay, so we came down to the trigger, it got rejected, climbed to the BBC where we expect resistance, and we found it. We got red and falling, and so price drops through the trigger and puts in a swing low at 15,269. So 95 minus 69 is 26 points at $20 a point. It's $520 per contract traded. Then price got back above the trigger, did it again, got back above the trigger, did it again. This time it made it all the way to the target. The target is the weekly trading zone below at 15,255. So 295 minus 255, that would be 40 points at $20 a point, $800 per contract traded. One alert, 1, 2, 3 triggers. Remember, once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. So we've covered the 3 major indices, the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ. We'll go to crude oil. The CTA short on crude last night was 67.70. And we finally triggered it right here, and we dropped $60 per contract. Then we got back above the trigger, we hit the target and then some. From the published entry to the published target, it's $200, but we actually traded through the target all the way down to 67.35. So that's about $400 per contract traded. Then we get back above the trigger, and we trigger here, but we've got that blue. We'd rather wait for this where we've got the red, and that takes us back to the target. This one here, probably, well, you had red, but then on this candle it went blue, then red, and so, you know, if you took it, okay. If you didn't, that's certainly okay too. This was a little confusing right here, but you had numerous opportunities to take profit on crude on the short side. On gold, okay, the short side on gold was 1787. So we triggered, put in a low at 1785. That's $200 per contract traded. We got back above the trigger, triggered again. The swing low, well, the zone is 84/85, so that's $200 per contract traded. And we got back above the trigger. Now, we're dealing with blue and climbing here, but as you can see, we did make it to the target, so whether you took this trade or not would really be up to you. In all honesty, even though it's such a beautiful move, it would probably be best left alone. That's the one that got away, as they say. CTA on the long side was 1795. And the target overhead was 1797/98, the weekly trading zone. On a long trade, the final trade to target is always the zone overhead. On a short, it's the zone below. So we go from 95 to 97. It's $200 per contract traded. Then we got back below the trigger, did it again, got back below the trigger, and we're in the process of doing it again. All with the help of blue and climbing. Right now, we're going from the published entry to the published target. With one contract, it's a $200 move. With 10 contracts, it's a $2,000 move. Okay? We trade every market exactly the same. We look at a 1-minute chart the same way we look at a daily chart. We look at the S&P the same as we look at crude oil or gold. Price flows on a gold chart the same way it does on an S&P chart, the same way it does on a crude chart. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. Markets are fractal in nature. Whether you're looking at a 1-minute chart or a monthly chart, price flows from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance. It's a never-ending cycle. It's so important to remember that. All right, the only thing we haven't covered is silver. And I guess I'll give Dr. Tom a call because I don't see him yet. So I'm going to put you on hold here in just a second. The short CTA trigger. It's 23.74. And we dropped to 23.63. So that's 11 pennies. 2 pennies is $100. Got back above the trigger, triggered again. Back above the trigger, triggered again. We had blue and climbing there, so you might have taken a pass on this one, and that's okay. And then we get almost to the trigger, and we take a nice drop right to the target at 23.56. So that covers all of the markets. I'm going to set this on the daily chart for a minute, and I'm going to hit mute, and I'm going to give Dr. Tom a call and make sure I didn't, he may have sent me a message that I missed. So don't go away. I'll be right back. Is logging in right now as we speak. He is logged in, and you just need to unmute yourself, Dr. Tom, on your end, and you'll be live. Let's go back for a minute while we're waiting on Dr. Tom to that live feed we had. If I can find it. Let's do it this way. Stand by. Dr. Tom's still getting his microphone going. You won't be able to hear the audio, but this is supposed to be live feed. It does say live. The latest news from Afghanistan as the Taliban take control of the country. The takeover continues following the collapse of the Afghan government. A Taliban spokesman said they want all foreign evacuations to be completed by August 31st, and they will accept no extensions to the deadline. Boy, is the tail wagging the dog. Look at this, guys. Not good. Not good. The question is what is our government going to do about it? These people counted on us, depended on us, trusted us. What are we going to do? Dr. Tom, I thought I heard you briefly there for a second.
Yes, you did.
Oh, good. Okay. How are
I'm
you?
sorry I'm late.
No, that's all right.
What's going on here?
I'm sorry?
I said there's a lot going on here. A lot of people very upset about what's going on over there, and
Absolutely.
been doing a lot of counseling and consoling and so on.
I understand.
I
What
keep
would you-
hearing the same words over and over again, like I'm dismayed, I'm disgusted, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm saddened. I mean, just nothing positive. Nothing positive. 61% of the people in the country now, and that was just yesterday, disapprove of Biden in general, and that includes a lot of Democrats. And something like 38% approve of how he's handling Afghanistan. So I'd like to be able to announce some good news,
Okay.
and that is that Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer have all resigned. They've admitted that they stole the election, and President Trump is going to be coming back into the White House and fixing this mess.
Lord, if that were only true.
Well, I said I'd like to be able to announce that. Unfortunately, I can't.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately.
I tell you,
I mean,
I tell you what,
I don't even know where to start with this. I mean, this ball has been dropped on so many levels, or was it, or you know, was this the planned outcome at some level? I you know, I don't know, do all roads lead back to George Soros? I don't know.
well, I do know for a fact that Biden and Harris, or Harris-Biden, whoever's really running things over there, are globalists, and they believe we should be part of a one world government. And having Afghanistan as a base funded by Biden with trillions of dollars, with almost $1 trillion worth of military equipment, very sensitive secret military equipment in some cases, and handing them super sophisticated fortified military bases that we just a few years ago spent billions of dollars rebuilding and refortifying. He has handed the Islamic terrorists a platform from which to launch the next 9/11. I know that much. Whether he did it on purpose, whether he did it because he's an idiot, I guess it doesn't really matter. But this is going to be not just what Afghanistan was before with Taliban and assorted other Muslim terrorists. Now we're going to have Pakistan and Afghanistan united, and we're going to have Iran in there. China's already moving in.
And they
stripping
have
down our.
this time they have the military arsenal of a first world country.
Yeah. Biden got on the TV and just, I don't know if you saw my article last week, but he told so many lies it's hard to keep track of them. He said that the Afghan government was going to stand because they have one of the best air forces in the world. What they've got, what they have, is some old, beat up, outdated helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft. What the Taliban have, because he gave them Bagram Air Force Base, is they're actually something like the 10th strongest air force in the world. Now, they're towelhead, filthy goat herders who haven't had a bath in a year, and they're too dumb to operate the aircraft. But the Chinese are moving in right now as we talk, and they're either going to train them, or more likely the Chinese will run the aircraft against us, our own aircraft, and it will be as advisors, not as, part of the Taliban.
Multiple U.S. troops believed among those killed by blast. What is Biden going to do about this?
Nothing, because he's a coward. I mean, he stayed on vacation for 6 days while all this was unfolding, hiding from the press. When he finally did come before the press, as soon as somebody asked him a question he didn't like, he just turned around and walked away. When he was asked why over 60% of Americans think he's doing a terrible job over there, he laughed. Same thing with Kamala Harris.
And what is it with that spooky laugh of hers?
She's a witch.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah. I guess you're right.
Yeah, I mean, if we found out today that she is a trained, sworn-in black witch, it would not be a surprise to me at all. And then Biden says, "Oh well, the world community's behind us." The reporter said, "Well, why are so many international leaders criticizing you?" He said, "I haven't heard anything like that." I mean, Tony Blair called him an imbecile. Almost every world leader has condemned what he's done, because I don't know if this got to the mainstream press, but the fact is that he did this without consulting our allies. He just pulled out and left them at risk. So there's thousands of British and French and Dutch and New Zealand and Australian troops trapped there as well. It's not just the American embassy personnel. There was I can't remember his name, one of our generals said that his most junior lieutenant could have handled this retreat better than Biden did. And make no mistake, it was a retreat. I mean, he can call it a withdrawal, he can call it repositioning, he can call it whatever the heck he wants to. But for the first time in the history of the United States, a bunch of illiterate goat herders has defeated the United States of America. And they're bragging about it everywhere. We won the war. We beat the Americans without a shot being fired. And they're not lying. Biden just handed it over to them.
This is a dark day for America, for the world.
I mean, right now, Congress should act and take away any kind of military power he's got, and get a general that knows what he's doing. And the strongest country in the world, we can't go and rescue our citizens. And it's not just the 5,000 or so in Kabul. They're forgetting about the other 30,000 or so that are all over the country. He gave up Bagram Air Force Base, which has...
I mean, right there. Why in the world would we be evacuating from an airport that has one airstrip when we could have evacuated from our own base that we've spent 20 years building.
That was heavily fortified.
Heavily fortified.
The Kabul airport is a public airport, has one runway, as you said. So all it would take is one Stinger missile, and we gave them a couple of hundred of them at least that we know of. One Stinger missile hitting that runway, and no one gets out. No one gets in, no one gets out. The only way we get anybody in there to rescue our people then would be to parachute them in. So why did he give up the Bagram Air Force Base? He's a traitor. And as soon as the House is retaken by the Republicans, he is going to be impeached. But by that time, I mean, the man has handed a platform to Islamic extremists from which to launch the next 9/11 against America, against the rest of the world. He's left them with almost $1 trillion worth of high quality, state-of-the-art military equipment. He's given them billions of dollars. He's given them fortified air bases and other military facilities. I mean, this is a dream. Islamic terrorists lay awake at night dreaming of a situation like this. This ISIS-K they're talking about now, which they're acting like it's some new thing.
What does that K mean? I heard that for the first time yesterday.
I know, but they've been building up in Afghanistan the last 3 years, waiting for something just like this, waiting for someone to be this stupid. And what it is, it's just part of regular ISIS. But because Trump, you know, that ISIS controlled 2/3 of 2 major countries at one point, and Trump kicked their butts. So a lot of them have migrated to Afghanistan, and the K stands for the province where they were originally started. But it doesn't really mean anything now, because all kinds of ISIS, they call them ISIS fighters. I call them ISIS cowards. You know, guys that behead innocent people,
Right.
guys that rape women for fun. They're not fighters. And anybody who calls them a fighter should be ashamed of themselves. And frankly, you know, I don't want to say what I really think here, because you know, I'm holding back a lot. But anybody who calls President Biden, is as bad as he is. He is not a president. He's not our president. And he's a traitor. I mean, he should be tried, not just impeached. He should be impeached, and then he should be tried for high treason. I'm just furious that at least 30,000, it could be as many as 100,000 people are going to die because of him. Hundreds of thousands of women are going to be raped. Little girls are going to be taken out of school. Everyone, you know, this hack of the State Department, they're trying to make it like, oh, it's no big deal. Well, guess what they got when they hacked?
What?
They got the names, addresses, telephone numbers, and the family member names of all the people who applied to the government and who Biden has slow-walked to get out of Afghanistan. He needed his special papers, and he hasn't. Apparently, he's told the State Department not to process them because hardly anybody has them. Okay, so now they're going around door to door. They're not killing them yet, but they're going around door to door and grabbing these people. And we have firsthand accounts of people who've seen this happening, and they're grabbing their entire families. And as soon as the last American leaves, they're going to behead not just the men who helped the Marines and helped the Army. They're going to behead their entire families, because that's the way these animals operate. They're not people. They're not humans. They're animals. I know you're not supposed to say that, but today I could care less what I'm supposed to say or not. So you can turn me off if you want to. but
No, I'm going to turn you up.
these guys are savages. And I'll say something I've been saying for the last 15 years at least. Islam is not a religion. If anybody has ever studied what they believe, has ever taken the time to look at the Quran, this is not a religion. If you want to get an education on it, read the book Islam versus the United States. It's by a guy who spent 10 years researching the Quran. His name is Nicholas Papanicolaou, but you'll never remember that. So just remember Islam versus the United States. And you know how in some places in the Quran, this pedophile, Muhammad, talks nice. And he says, we need to get along with our brothers and our sisters of the book, which means the Christians and the Jews. In other places, he says, wherever you find them, if they won't bow down and submit, that's what the word jihad means. It means submit. They won't submit to Islam, then you kill them. This pedophile, which is what he is, he married a 9-year-old girl and had sex with her. Don't know any other word to call him. He would personally go into homes and tell the family they had to bow down and submit to Islam. And if they wouldn't do it, he would take the babies, grab them by the legs, swing around his head, smash their head against the wall. Now will you submit? No. Then he would torture the wife. If the father wouldn't submit, he would just kill the whole family and go on. This is him personally, not some crazy followers. So why do you have this dichotomy? In some places, he sounds like the savage animal that he is. In other places, he sounds reasonable. It's because this so-called religion is 600 years old. And when he first started it, he was just a moderate idiot, illiterate. He didn't write anything in the Quran. He dictated it, but he mostly copied stuff, parts that he liked from the Old Testament. And he just made up a religion. And the Quran is in 5 different parts. This is why people get confused. So he went from being a moderate, illiterate, very, very stupid person to becoming more and more evil to by the time that last part of the Quran is written, where he says it's perfectly okay to lie. You're required to lie to your enemies in order to win an advantage over him. So when Biden says, well, you know, we have no contingency plan because our plan was that the Taliban promised that everyone would be safe until the 31st. So he's that dumb that he doesn't realize he doesn't have anybody on his staff who've read the Quran who knows that they're commanded to lie. You cannot negotiate with an Islamist, because their religion tells them if they tell the truth, then they go to their version of hell. And if they lie to you, then they get to have 70 virgins if they go to their version of heaven. So what they did is the Quran, as we have it today, has been switched all around and those 5 sections reshuffled to where it's all still there, but you have to dig it out. And the really violent, evil stuff has been hidden. And the stuff that most people read is the, oh, sweetness and light, we have to get along with our brothers of the book, you know, the Christians and the Jews. That is not who Muhammad is. And that's not what Islam is. And for Biden to be stupid enough to think that you could negotiate with people like this, who, frankly, their only romantic entanglements for the last several years while they've been living out in the mountains has been each other and the occasional goat that wander by. Excuse me, but that's the truth. I mean, that's exactly what they do. So now they're just waiting to be let loose so they can rape all these women in Afghanistan, because they haven't had women for a long time, except the ones that they kidnap. Boko Haram. And that's little girls, little 9 and 10 and 11-year-old girls. These guys are savage animals.
They really are. They really are. No conscience. No. How do you? Well, let me ask it this way first. If you were the commander-in-chief today, right now, what would you do? What steps would you take? What would you do first?
32nd Airborne, Rangers, go back and take back the air base at Bagram. It's essential. We can't get our people out without it.
Okay.
We're focusing on only the people in Kabul. And that's just a small part of all the people that we are honor bound, never leaving America behind. I mean, Trump would have moved heaven and earth to get one person.
Right.
Look how many he rescued. So that's the first step. Get the specialist in there and turn them loose and take command away from Biden. I don't know how that happens. I think that the Congress either needs to amend the War Powers Act and take that status as commander-in-chief away from him and give it to the Joint Chiefs, because they know how to do it. I mean, they've trained for this. Look at the British and the French are going out in the countryside and rescuing their people. Who wants to be the left of the French, right?
Right.
But Biden is so concerned about his image. He doesn't want this to be a combat operation.
He better check the polls, because he doesn't have much of an image left. I think the latest poll number I heard was like 27% of Americans agree with how Biden is handling the situation.
And just 2 days ago, it was 34%. So it's real hard. You can't recall a president like you can recall a governor. But there's enough pressure put on him. Even a Democrat-controlled Congress can't impeach him. Of course, that puts Kamala Harris in charge. But they can get the word to her that you continue his policies and the impeachment pen will come out again. But, just like there have been many times that we've had to appoint special prosecutors because we couldn't trust the FBI or the DOJ to prosecute certain people because of conflicts of interest. So there's room in the Constitution to where we could appoint someone else to handle the military operations in Afghanistan. That's the only way we're going to get out of there without tens of thousands of people dying. And I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I have a good friend. He's a 3-star general, retired now. But I asked him this question: could the title commander-in-chief be taken away from the president? And he says, well, it could be.
That's a good question.
It's just tradition. Mm-hmm. Do you know why the president is the commander-in-chief?
Well, that comes along part and parcel with being the president, right?
Well, it's because George Washington was first the commander-in-chief. He won the Revolutionary War.
He was a general with fighting experience. Okay.
He was a real man, and he understood how critical it was when you send young men into a situation where they're going to quite possibly be killed, that you have your act together. Okay, so he's first a general, then he's the commander-in-chief of all U.S. Armed Forces, then he's elected president. He wasn't really elected because nobody ran against him. I mean, nobody of any stature. and nobody even bothered trying to run against him second term. And then they wanted to make him the king of America, and he refused. He wouldn't run for a third term. He said, it's time to move on. We put other younger people in charge and so on. But because of tradition, it's just like if you have a board of directors, I'm on quite a few of them of nonprofits, and the person who is in a certain position, say the chairman of the board of directors, like I am of a prison ministry, there's certain things that I do, and when I resign, whoever takes over that position will probably be expected to do the things that I did. So that's the way the second president came to commander-in-chief. It's because it was basically a tradition. And as it's turned out, it's been a very bad tradition. Biden, by the way, was the only senior White House official who was against taking out Osama bin Laden. He's very loud and very vocal. He's been wrong in every single foreign policy decision he's made in almost 5 decades of living in the swamp. So, but Obama, I mean, he certainly was a commander-in-chief. I mean, he basically pulled our troops out of Iran prematurely, very similar to what's happening now. And because of that, it was a real mess. There's a way you do this. Ask any military man. You first get your equipment out. Why? Because you don't want it to fall in the hands of the enemy and to be used to kill our soldiers. He failed to do that in Iran. Second, you get your embassy people, your American citizens out, civilians. Third, you get out your allies, these people that everybody keeps talking about, the translators and so on. Now, I'm sure there's thousands of people that are desperate to get out of Afghanistan that are claiming I was a translator and so on. But they have ways of checking this. They have records on this.
Yeah, and I'm also sure that there's plenty who are claiming that, have fake documents, and their marching orders are to get inside of this country and do as much evil as they possibly can. That concerns me.
Very much so. At the very least, everybody who comes from Afghanistan, just like all the people coming across our southern border, are, they're not, in many cases, they're not refugees. They're basically undocumented Democrat voters. And that's why the Democrats are pushing this. Do you realize that over 75 or 80% of the people that have been evacuated are Afghanis and not Americans?
Yeah, and they're sending them to Republican strongholds like Texas. They're settling them in areas where they need more Democratic voters.
Yeah. You notice they never, like I talked to a guy in New Orleans, which is close to where I was born. He tells me that in the towns, the smaller towns all around New Orleans, like Shreveport and so on, in the middle of the night, the Border Patrol is dumping busloads, hundreds of people at a time, in the town square, just leaving them there with nothing. And the local people are left to pick up the pieces, but they're always Republican places, right? You notice they've never dumped people in Washington, D.C. Isn't that interesting? If they wanted to really help refugees, they would spread them out all across the United States evenly. But they wouldn't use it to punish Republicans and overload their school systems and overload their hospitals. At least 10% of the people coming across the southern border, at least, are already infected with China virus. In some places, it's as much as 30 and 40%. They're dumping them to overload hospitals in states where people do things right. But, back to the back to the people being evacuated. This is America. The job of the American government, first and foremost, not the only job, but almost the only job. Their primary responsibility is to protect Americans. So why are we sending plane loads of Afghanis? I heard an exchange of an air traffic controller with a pilot, and they were supposed to have a couple hundred Afghanis on the plane. And first reports there were 640, but then when you heard the actual exchange, there were 800 of them.
I heard a recording of that, I think.
Yeah, and what did the air traffic controller say when he was told that there was 800? What they did is they hadn't got the door all the way closed, so they forced it open, just jammed their way in. What did the air traffic controller say?
Good luck, was it? God be with you, something. What did he say? I don't remember.
He said, "Holy F."
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And he asked him if he was going to be able to get off the ground.
Did that plane get off the ground?
It did. It got to Qatar. And I don't know how they're going to handle all this influx. I do know that we're going to pay for it. But what really upsets me is that we have embassy personnel, their family, their wives, their children, they're trapped. And then this red-haired witch at the podium in the White House said, when a reporter asked her the question, she says, "I resent that remark. That is very irresponsible to say that anyone is trapped. Anyone in the Afghanistan that wants to get out can." Now, everybody in the world knows that's a lie, but notice what she said there. Anyone who wants to get out, they're setting themselves up to where down the road, when thousands of Americans are beheaded or held for ransom or just held in their prisons, to say, well, those people decided not to go. I mean, nothing comes out of her wicked mouth they haven't thought of very carefully. All the Americans who wanted to get out. Everybody wants to get out. People who aren't Americans, Afghanis, want to get out. So why would any American want to stay there and be subjected to a Middle Ages type of society where you get stoned to death? Your daughter gets stoned to death if she kisses a boy that her father doesn't approve of. I mean, and the other part, they won't tell us how many Americans are there.
Right.
There's a nice press conference going on. I can't remember Austin, this guy who was a former.
I think they released a figure this morning that said 1,500. If I'm not positive.
On one of the liberal channels, they were saying 1,500. On Fox News, they were saying 6,000. But the real number is probably somewhere between 20 and 30,000 Americans. Because, the government will admit to numbers that are bad when the real numbers are far, far worse.
Far worse. And they're also starting to try and turn it on the people who are trapped there. Well, we've been warning you for a long time. You need to get out. You need to get out. And I don't know how much truth there is to that. I don't know how much warning they were given or how urgent the warnings were.
Well, what we do know is what we see in writing, because people were smart enough to take screen grabs of what the State Department posted on their website. And they told people, get to the airport as soon as possible for evacuation. And then they took that down and replaced it with another one, stay where you are and await for further orders. And the next one that came out was, don't go anywhere near the airport. It's not dangerous, or it's not safe there.
Yeah.
Because what's been happening, they haven't killed any Americans until this bombing today, but they have been beating Americans. They've been taking their passports and tearing them up to where it's going to be almost impossible for them to get out. How do you prove that you're an American?
Right.
Especially if you're an Afghani who has become a naturalized American. They're just, anyway, back to the press conference. General Austin, the decorated general, standing at the podium, we're answering questions. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they change him so often I can't remember his name. They're both answering questions. And then someone asked, how many Americans are left in Afghanistan? And there's this 15 or 20 second silence. I'm on the radio a lot, and if there's 15 seconds of silence, people start freaking out. Television, 5 seconds of nothing happening, and it's like, what's going on? And finally they looked at each other, and neither one of them wanted to say it, and one of them said, well, we don't know. Well, you know that's a lie. If an American goes to visit Israel, okay, we know they're there. And, because we may have to go and rescue people. So we always know. They have visas. They know who flies where. And they're told to check in with their embassy. So they know exactly. I bet you they know down to not to the 10 people, they probably know down to the 5 people. They might be 5 people off, but they know who's there. I mean, they're people that we sent there in most cases. They're embassy personnel, they're military personnel, they're support people, they're military contractors, civilian contractors, and so on. We know, but they don't want to be pinned down to a number. They don't want to say, well, there's 30,000, and then if they only get 20,000 out, then people are going to be asking, like, remember Cuomo? He said, how many people died in the nursing homes? Right. And, there's like 5,000. And then it turned out there was like something like 15,000. Now the new governor says there's 12,000 more people that died than he admitted to because he controlled the information.
Right.
So that's what they're doing. They won't tell us how many Americans are there because they don't want to be held to account. But Biden's over with. And,
I'm surprised Afghanistan hasn't shut off the internet yet.
Well, the reason they haven't, I found that out this morning, they have their own servers there in country. Okay. Almost all the rest of the internet around the world is connected, is interconnected. So, you know what an IP address is, right?
Yes.
Internet protocol, there's things called DNS servers, domain name servers.
Right.
So your domain is not CFRN radio.
Yeah, it's
108-92 or whatever. So when someone types in CFRN radio, it goes to a domain name server, which could be in France or it could be in Mexico. It doesn't matter. And it connects it up with the right server.
Sure.
Okay. So what they've done in totalitarian countries like Iran, like China, they've got their own servers, and anytime they want to, they can just sever the connection with the rest of the world. So that's why they're not worried about the internet and the people reaching out. It's only the people that have cell phones that are still working. They'll probably block those soon.
Yeah.
Sat phones and any encrypted military communication devices, but they'll block those as well. So instead of saying to the people in Afghanistan, let us know what we can do to help you, like you said, the redheaded press person said, well, you should have gotten earlier. Well, when she got criticized for that, then the next day she said what Republican congressmen have been saying for the last week: call my office, we'll do everything we can. They've gotten a lot of people out because of that. But the White House doesn't care because They don't want this to be a combat operation. Well, now they don't have a choice. 4 Marines are dead. At least 3 that we know of are wounded this morning. So now Biden is either going to go back down his basement and hide and eat cookies and drink milk and just pretend like nothing's happening, or he's going to let the military loose to do what the military does. This is what they've trained for. Many of them all their lives. Many of them, that's all they've ever done all their entire lives. I know hundreds that I've talked with, and I'm sure there are millions that would volunteer in a heartbeat to go over there and try and rescue people that are there. There are private individuals who are putting together rescue operations, kind of like, what's his name did, the little short guy that ran for president.
Oh, gosh.
ADP guy.
Tip of my tongue, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Anyway, he put together a rescue operation to go in and rescue the 444 hostages that
all right, we've got lucky caller number 4, Marcus, on the line. If he answers this,
and is not the second, but within 3 hours of the time, go ahead and click that and cast your vote. Yeah, on the right. You can vote on Biden there and tell him how much you appreciate what he's doing.
Great President Joe Biden, nice job performance.
Vote in this urgent poll. But within 3 hours after Reagan was inaugurated, they released the hostages. They weren't afraid of Jimmy Carter because they knew he was a Joe Biden. They knew he was a coward. But man, if what I said at the beginning was true, if Biden just said, look, I'm out of here, and he brought President Trump in as a special whatever to handle Afghanistan, I guarantee you, it's not that there wouldn't be bloodshed, it's not that some Americans wouldn't die, but the outcome would be 100 times better than anything that Biden's going to do. Biden's just a disaster, and
that's already happened. Not a disaster waiting to happen. He's full blown.
Yes, he is.
Does he have any plans to address? Does he have a press conference scheduled for this afternoon?
There was supposed to be, last I checked, there was supposed to be one from the State Department, but it was delayed by hours. When he finally did address the people himself, he was like, 6 or 7 hours late, because they were still trying to figure out, well, what can I say?
Yeah,
you know,
right.
And especially what can he pronounce off the teleprompter without stumbling over it. I'm sure that was part of the equation. But when they finally figured out what he was going to say, then they let him get in front of the cameras. But basically, he's been radio silence since all this has started.
Well, Jerome Powell is going to speak tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, not about Afghanistan, although that may come up. This week has been the Jackson Hole Symposium, and Jerome will deliver a, prepared message at 10 a.m. Eastern, and I assume he'll take questions and provide some answers. I don't know that for a fact, but that is the big economic news event for tomorrow. Jerome Powell.
Yeah, he's going to say a lot of great things about lowering interest rates and helping improve unemployment and so on, and the market will go up as a result because some people actually believe that stuff. You know how the Fed is working to make sure America stays fully employed and keeps the unemployment rate low. That's part of their mission, right?
Yeah.
It's not part of their mission. Okay. Go back to the original Federal Reserve Act. Nothing about unemployment. they took that on themselves. And as far as I know, Congress has never given them the authority to do anything about unemployment. But yet, that's now part of their mandate. They say it publicly. We have to keep the economy from going into inflation or deflation by regulating interest rates, and we have to keep employment high. But everything they've done has worked against that, because the higher and higher debt goes, the higher unemployment goes. So what did they do? They fudged the numbers. The real unemployment rate is close to 20% now.
Now, we have, let me see what other high impact news we have tomorrow morning. I know that we have, here, let me just, investing.com. That's the one I use for, let's see, tools, economic calendar. Okay, tomorrow, Friday. So we don't have any high impact news tomorrow morning until Fed Chair Powell speaks at 10 a.m. Eastern. And that's the only high impact economic reports we have coming out tomorrow. But what we had today, this morning, we had the GDP numbers. Those came out at 8:30.
Excuse me,
GDP,
Dwayne.
and it was worse than expected. Forecast was 6.7%, and we came in at 6.6.
Wait, excuse me, I have a appointment going in right now, so I've got a jet. God bless you all.
Okay, hey, I had sent you that email after we spoke last week. Can we talk later today about that, or tomorrow when you have time? Just call me and I'll answer.
Sure.
Okay.
It came through okay, right?
As far as I know, that's what I just wanted to check with you, and I'll check on my end and let you know. Okay.
When you get done today, call Anna.
Anna? Okay. I will, Dr. Tom. Thank you.
At this number. She's handling that.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
God bless you.
God bless you, brother. Okay, folks. Again, at the top of the show, if you missed it, we covered a lot of points, specific reasons to pray. You know, something we're always telling people, pray for me, pray for them, pray for this situation. But at the beginning of the show today, I gave a list of some very specific points that you can use as you pray. Pray for the women, pray for the children. I mean, we pray for all of the people. But we know how horribly women and children are treated at the hands of these animals. There's just no other word for it. Animals. They're animals, I tell you. All right, lower the session. $44.65 and a quarter. Below that, we have a weekly zone at 44.58. Right here. We have this beautiful window of opportunity. Guys, I encourage you to take a real close look at this. 44.73 to 44.67. Just to be conservative. 67 to 73. That's 6 S&P points at $50 a point. That's $300 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, it's $3,000. If you have not earned the right to trade 10 contracts, don't trade 10 contracts. Don't trade one if you have not earned the right to go live. If you're using our methodology and our strategy, you must start in the simulator, in the demo account. You know, we can't force you to do anything, but we sure want to help you not blow up another account. So please put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less before you go live. And when you go live, as badly as you want to trade those 10 contracts, trade one. Earn the money to trade two. Now that you're trading 2 contracts, earn the money to trade 3. The blueprint will walk you through step by step by step. And anytime along the way, you have unlimited access to one-on-one mentoring. Myself, Michael, Valerie, Bert, any of us, all of us, when you become a passport holder, you've got everything a trader needs. Live interactive training every day, every trading day. 2 hours, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Then the afternoon show, this show right now. The Thursday night members only workshop. And in between, unlimited one-on-one private mentoring. This is lifetime access. 9 out of 10 new traders fail. Only 1 succeed. Now, I wish I could tell you that a passport would guarantee you would be the 1 out of 10, but I can't do that. Because even though we're going to give you the information, we're going to teach you, we're going to train you, we're going to walk you through it step by step, we're going to provide you all the tools you need, I don't know how you're going to handle what we provide. But I do know this, and I can say this with a clear conscience. If you'll be patient, if you'll follow the steps as they're laid out, if you'll stay humble, keep your eye on the ball, be patient, you've got a far better chance of being the 1 out of 10 than the 9 out of 10 with the passport. It's not just the live training room, it's the methodology, it's the strategy, it's the indicators, it's the discussion groups, it's the around-the-clock support, it's the around-the-clock alerts, it's the concierge trade alerts. Everything a trader needs. It's $5,000. To be exact, $49.97. In the grand scheme of things, based on what you've probably already spent, that's probably not a lot. Okay? But the good news is you won't have to spend any more money on trading stuff. Because if everything we provide, if you're still unable to become consistently profitable, then maybe you just aren't cut out to be a trader. And I don't mean that in a snarky way. Okay? Mike Reed set me straight many years ago. Back in 2006, I was moaning and groaning to him, and he said, "Hey, Dwayne, not everybody's cut out to be a trader." I was offended, but it was a wake-up call. And later on, I was so thankful that he got my attention in the manner that he did, because it started to change the way I saw things and thought about things. And there's no easy road to glory here. You're going to have to work. Okay, you're going to have to learn. You're going to need a business plan and a trading plan. See, 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have a teacher. Those people also most likely have no business plan. They have no trading plan. They're just out there clicking the mouse, buying every shiny indicator and oscillator that comes down the pike, all the lies that promise you overnight success, overnight riches. Guys, that's just not true. If you want to become a trader, you've got to learn how to trade. Our goal is not to teach you to jump through some kind of hoops like a circus animal. Our job is to teach you how to look at a chart, identify the windows of opportunity, and then teach you the rules of engagement to take advantage of that window of opportunity. And we do it around the clock. 24/7, 365. If you missed the recap at the top of the show, Logic 247, this week we have issued 51 total alerts. An alert is where we tell you this would be a great price to enter this market, long or short. It says right on the alert, buy or sell. Then you've got an initial target, and in many cases a second target, sometimes a third target, sometimes a fourth target, and then of course your final trade 2 target. So far this week, out of those 51 alerts we've sent to all of our members, 6 never triggered, still waiting on 11, 34 actionable alerts, of which 4 or 12% would have been stomped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade. I mean, there's really not even much to think about. Just go to eminifuturestrading.com, get your passport, let Valerie know, and she'll make sure you have everything you need to be active today. You'll be in the workshop tonight. We'll get your indicators up and running. You'll have access to all the private Telegram channels. You'll get your 24/20 blueprint. You'll start working on your business plan, your trading plan, and we'll be right there to help you every step of the way. And again, it's lifetime. There's no weekly, monthly, annual renewal fees. One money, one price for the passport. That's it. It's your all-access pass to everything we do, everything we've ever done, and anything we might do in the future. EminiFuturesTrading.com. Yesterday, during our good word for the day, we talked about refusing to be fearful. We talked about the Goliaths that we all have in our life. Today I want to talk to you about investing in your children. Job 8:7. Though your beginning was small, yet your latter end would increase abundantly. The Lazy Bee Ranch sits on 67,400 hectares. If you don't know what a hectare is, it's a lot bigger than an acre. I forget the exact dimensions. Most of it is scrub brush, the Lazy Bee Ranch, and it's been in the Day family since 1881. When Harry and Ada Mae Day had their first child, a baby daughter, they traveled 300 kilometers to a hospital for the delivery and brought her home to a difficult life. The 4-room mud brick house had no running water or electricity, and there was no school within driving distance. You would think with such limited resources, the little girl's future might be limited. But Harry and Ada Mae were determined their children would have the best education possible. They subscribed to metropolitan newspapers and magazines and read to their children hour after hour. When her daughter was 4 years old, Ada Mae began her on the Calvert method of homeschooling and later saw that she went to the best boarding schools possible. One summer, they took their children on a car trip to visit all the state capitals in America west of the Mississippi River. When young Sandra was ready for college, she went to Stanford University, then on to law school, and eventually she became the first woman justice to sit on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. So the word for today is invest in your children. And for this audience, your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. And be willing to start small. Otherwise, you might not start at all. Instead of dwelling on what you don't have, use what God has given you, and He will bless it. He will multiply it. Stand on this scripture for your children. Though your beginning was small, yet your latter end would increase abundantly. Job 8:7. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.